Hello class. So in this video series we generally looked at how to make different sorts of things for diagramming in Illustrator. This was sort of my practice file where I showed you things. This was a real project I've done where this is a complete opportunities diagram, constraints diagram, a partee diagram. Again, it works well for bubble diagrams, environmental diagrams, any other kind of diagramming you might think of. All uses the same basic tools, but of course all of that is really meant to go towards a final design. This happens to be the resolution of this project fully rendered. Now I'm not going to go into this video series of how to do all these renderings. I have other ones where I talk about plans and elevations that can get you a long way to doing what you see here, and maybe someday I'll do a site plan rendering series. I think that would be good. But for now what I just want to show you, you might not be able to get quite this extensive, but the reality is there weren't many extra tools that I used to create this, although I do know some tricks to help me along the way. But as you go with your project, go ahead and see how well you can develop the site plan. Maybe it won't be quite as finished rendered as this, but it'll be pretty close. The one thing I did want to point out though, and this is how it's ordered. I have layers here. I actually have layers collapsed within other layers. Don't worry about that, but here's all the rendering things. And what I really want to show you is that I have the satellite background just like I did in the other set of drawings, although this is a bigger scale than any other drawings, as we can see. But if I turn off all my layers, a lot of times you can do pretty nice things that simplify patterning just by using layer order. So the way I tend to work, again, look at the other video series for this, but I've done all this work in CAD and I printed it as a PDF and I brought this in and I placed it over the satellite image. And then I needed to start rendering it. Well, my lowest layer is what I usually, this is typical, not always the case, but typical, I call it roads. And I just color the whole thing in roads. Because then what I do is on top of that, I'll put something like grass or a green layer. And I'll just put in the colors that are grass and green, and we can start to see that what happens from there is the roads start to get defined because they're covered up with grass. And I actually had another layer of green here as well. If I can click on it, there we go, which are some extra spots there. There was a cell tower in here, which that layers. So I did sidewalks and plaza space. So that's just another layer on top of the road. So I basically just used the pen tool and traced it out that way. I added a little bit of texture for the plazas. Again, that's just setting on top of that existing layer. I added crosswalks, which is just dashed line of white on top of all that stuff. I added rain gardens, which is little green spots. I know at this view you probably can't see it, but that's okay. I added shadows. Again, you can look to other video series to see how to do these quickly, but it's not that bad once you know what you're doing. And then I added the buildings on top of that. And so when you see these things stack on top of each other, this layer order was really important to make it simplified, a simplified way of drawing all of this. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh, I added some shade for the roofs, I added shadows for the trees, and I added trees. These street trees are, remember I said in a previous video here, I actually made it a line type and drew them out. And that's the sort of rendering in that layer order. So see what you can do as you sort of move forward. Again, you can also render regular floor plans, you can render elevations. I have other video series that can go over these things, and Illustrator can really make some fantastic drawings if you start to know how to do this, if you can use layers well, if you can use that appearance dialog box I talked in some of the diagramming videos in other interesting ways. You can get some great stuff out of Illustrator, and I encourage you to make this Illustrator drawing your own, right, rather than making it look like a plain old Illustrator drawing. And don't forget, you can always ask me for help. So good luck, have fun with this, can't wait to see some great drawings.